From an undisclosed location high in the Hollywood Hills, it's time once again for the long shot. Come hell or high water. Tonight's episode, Witching at Lughnasa. And now, please welcome the host of the long shot, Sean Conroy.
Welcome to the long shot. I am Sean Conroy, your host. Amber Kenny is also your host.
Oh, hi.
And we're here to do a podcast called The Long Shot.
That's a new shirt?
It is.
I've never seen that color on you before. I like it. But at first I did think you were nude. Like when and I got concerned.
Don't tempt me.
I'm not.
We should do a live nude episode. Like just this, but like, guess what, guys?
If I got up, something could happen.
Right.
But do you see what I'm saying about
I do. It's a hard color to pull off.
I think on Zoom.
Yeah, it's well, I mean, the reason I have this, and I have a
okay.
I have a whole thing going on.
Do they get progressively darker shades of pink?
It's Roy G. Biv, but all in pink. I did it today. I finally pulled the trigger today and canceled my ticket to fly to Virginia on Saturday. So I'm not going to the beach. Saturday. Yeah, it was this Saturday.
I mean, in my head, August is still in the future, even though we're like in the second week of August almost.
Well, here's a weird thing about this show now is that we are recording on Thursday night and then releasing the following Wednesday.
So it's like, it is interesting. Like my parents listen, and I know I've talked about this a lot, but I know they're like listening to see what's going on in my life. And then I have to talk to them and be like, I
don't even remember that anymore. Yeah.
Like that was a week ago and this and this has happened since.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's confusing.
And when I go back and, try to put together stuff to put out for, leading up to the episode, I'm like, I don't even remember this anymore. Like, I don't remember that we talked about this, or I don't even remember this happened to me in my life because it was so long ago. It was already 3 days ago. Things have changed so much since then. But anyway, yes, I finally today, I think I kind of decided a week and a half ago, but I finally said it out loud to people, yesterday. And today I got on the phone with, or got on the internet with the airline, the ironically named Delta Airline, which is the whole reason.
Tough stuff.
Yeah. Like, I know that's a hack joke at this point because it's been all over Twitter for a month, but,
the PR people for Delta must be
pulling their hair out.
Yeah, having a.
That's what happened to me.
You were PR for Delta,
and I pulled all my hair out. But and obviously that feels like a bit of a defeat. It feels like I have caved to this virus. It's disappointing because
of course.
I'm not going to get to see my family. I'm not going to get to go to the beach. I mean, the house is literally on the beach. You walk out the door past a pool into the Atlantic Ocean. Like it's.
That's bragging.
Yeah. It is. And yet lamenting at the same time.
That's all I want right now. In a pool.
Oh, me too. And, I mean, I can go to my pool, but that's not the same thing.
Which you've been keeping from people. When you had a birthday party and then it was canceled the next day, but I was like, hey Jeff, just we were invited to this birthday party. It's a pool party, and Jeff was like, where? And I was like, at his apartment complex. He had a pool the whole time. And he was like, how dare? Like he was just as mad as I was. It was.
But I do feel like I pulled a victory out of this whole debacle only because when I went online to cancel my flight, like
In
I
live?
when I went in line, when I went into the Matrix, I don't know if you do this when you fly. I don't know if you ever fly. Have you ever flown?
I don't know if I'll ever fly again. I was thinking that. Like, where would I go? I know one location.
North Pole. See if Santa's there.
My friend is getting married in 2022. If everything is standing,
we should be fine by then.
That we've said that a lot.
I know. Oh, believe me, I've had that conversation several times this week with relatives, like saying, "Well, I guess
by Christmas."
No. It was like, "Well, I guess." Well, let's not even say that. Let's not even say that because we don't know where we'll be by Christmas time. We really don't know.
Point is, my friend Lampy, who I talk about a lot, is getting married.
I know Lampy.
I know you do. In Mexico, but on the opposite side of the country that my parents live, so you have to fly. It's like
I have not gotten to save the date card, but we'll see.
I mean, again, not my wedding, and it's in Mexico.
Oh, I'm not blaming you, and I'm not blaming the Mexican authorities either.
It's like a thing where the entire wedding is the people at this tiny hotel. So like, it might be a smaller guest list. No offense.
I just realized that I'm not even using my actual microphone right now. That's why I can't hear my own voice.
Oh, I've heard you fine, but let
me just switch it real quick.
Okay.
This is live sound. This is when the roadie runs on stage in the middle of the show and fixes things. He tries to plug something in, and then he's like moving stuff around. And can you hear me?
Mm-hmm. I guess
And the roadie like gives thumbs up and runs off stage, and the guy's like, so I went in line,
right,
to cancel this ticket, and whenever I buy plane tickets, I try to do it as cheaply as possible, which means using like discount services.
You're not allowed to have luggage. Like, you're not allowed to.
Oh, please. Would you like to bring a toothbrush? It's only $7. Yeah. But what that means is that when you get your ticket, there's always an option that if you want to buy, I don't know what they call it, but like some kind of insurance, like if you have to change your flight, it's only an extra $75 or whatever. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do that.
You're like nope.
Right? Change your flight? Nope. Stay with this? Yep. Cramped? Yep. Brush fee? Nope. But what that means is that I always have to worry about, like, what if something goes wrong? What if I get delayed? What if I have to stay an extra day? Whatever. Right. I'm fucked. And so I was like, okay, I got to change this flight. And in my head, I was like,
there's no way I made it easy on myself.
I really hope, like, why would I ever do that? Everything was fine when I booked the ticket. It was hot vax summer, it was like, we're all going to party all summer and fuck everybody. And, it's going to be great. And
I really want to know what that SH one was.
I don't want to get into it, but some people have
like shit. Like, where was it even going?
we're all gonna shit everywhere. It's gonna be great. But anyway, so I everything was 100% green lights when I bought this ticket,
and like only getting better.
Yeah. Like, this is going to be great. I haven't seen these people in so long. Some of them I've seen more recently, but some of them I haven't seen in a long time. And this is going to be great. So I'm going to get the cheap ticket. No, thank you. Nope. Yep. Nope. Yep. And so then when I went to cancel it today, I was like, oh, God damn it. I'm going to lose the whole fucking thing.
Right.
and this is how it's a double-edged sword, because this is how negatively I think about my own brain, but how excited when I get something right is that I did get the thing. I was able to just get a full credit for the whole flight. I don't get the money back, but that's fine because I can fly the next time, like I can buy another ticket.
Right.
And I was like, yes, like I literally was like out loud pumping my fist and so excited that I was smart enough this one fucking time before the Delta variant came out to actually plan ahead a little bit and go, who knows, something could go wrong. Like, which I guess says that I am still a glass half empty guy, that I'm like, yeah, we're back summer, but I better get the trip insurance,
Right. You were right.
I was right, which is a bummer, but it's awesome.
Right.
See what I mean?
Yeah,
it's a double-edged sword. Yeah. So that was exciting. Because it was really fucking expensive. Like,
well, everyone's traveling, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So they can. Like, turns out if people can charge a lot, they will.
Right. So you're talking about supply and demand, basically. Mm-hmm. You're talking about like
right.
guns and butter, the production possibilities curve. Like the more people want something, the more expensive it's going to be.
Right.
You understand economics.
I do.
So it was shockingly expensive. But anyway, I didn't lose all that money.
Right.
For that ticket.
You get to go on a shockingly expensive flight in the future.
But the next one will feel to me
free.
Like it's free.
Right. Yes. Even though it's exactly
because in my head I had already lost the money as I was going in line, Well,
and anytime maybe this isn't maybe I shouldn't admit this. Maybe this is embarrassing.
Mm-hmm.
And but like anytime I buy something ahead of time, it's like it's free. Like I already paid for it ahead of time. There's something satisfying about
there's
that.
There's nothing to be done about it. The money is gone. So the next time I use it, it's like I haven't had that money in so long. So
Right. Or like specifically trips. Like if I pay for a trip a year out,
mm-hmm.
It's like a free, like a year ago, that's completely different money. This is a free trip.
I think it's interesting that that's how you live your life, that you plan these trips a year in advance.
Well, I used to in the before times.
I believe I'll be going to Portugal this summer. So
don't people plan trips ahead of time?
I guess people with lives do. I just have never been able to do that. But yeah, sure.
But I mean, okay. But if you're going to go to Portugal, you got to know ahead of time. That's not a whim trip.
I guess that's why I've never been to Portugal.
I haven't either.
I hear it's nice. I've actually been watching. There's a documentary on HBO right now documentary series called The 100-Foot Wave about this guy named Garrett McNamara or Garrett or Gareth, some Gary. Garen.
I'm gonna need to move on to the next part.
It's something with a GA. Like
I also
Granguignol.
I think it's GA something.
Anyway, it's that lighthouse that you see the photos of those gigantic waves in front of. You know the pictures I'm talking about? It's like there's in Nazaré, Portugal, there is a lighthouse on a promontory, if I'm saying that correctly. And there's a huge surf that comes in there. And this guy kind of discovered it in 2010 and was like, I bet I could surf that, and started trying to surf 100-foot wave. And he documented the whole thing. Like, of course, it's all, he knew 11 years ago that he was going to be turning this into something. So he's videotaped the whole thing. He's gotten the whole town involved. Like, it's really treacherous surf, and it's a fishing port. So the people who live there are like, yeah, my grandfather drowned, my uncle drowned, my drowned, my that drowned. Like, everybody drowns there. And then this guy came and was like, hey, let's go surfing, dude. What's up?
I got nothing better to do.
Yeah, but people totally got on board with it. And of course, it's crazy. I mean, there are people I've seen, I think, 3 episodes, and so far nobody has died, but there's been a couple of touch and goes, you know. But anyway, it does make me want to go to Portugal, if for no other reason than to go to that fucking lighthouse and watch people surf from there.
Right.
It's crazy how gigantic these waves get. So let's plan a trip for a year from now to Portugal.
I want to go to Portugal.
I hear it's beautiful. All right. So we always start by just bullshitting for an hour. So let's do that.
Okay.
No, we start with checking in. So why don't I go first so I can talk about the fact that I went to see the doctor this week, just for like annual. Yeah. Nothing exciting. But it was just it's a weird experience at this point because there's so much going on and everybody's terrified and everybody's in masks and they're aggressively making you switch masks as soon as you walk into the office because they don't want your mask. They want the office mask. And,
whoa.
Here's some hand sanitizer and please slather that all over your body. And, the whole thing.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was, and there's something, I mean, my doctor is great. Which is why I went to see him, even though I don't have insurance that covers him anymore.
Shit.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Speaking of prohibitively expensive. Although what was interesting to me is it is my sense that and I guess this totally makes sense. This last year and a half has just wrought havoc in the health insurance.
Yeah. No, industry. I've heard that. I've heard that.
Because they were like, are you paying for this out of pocket or do you have insurance? And I said, I don't have insurance anymore. I'm going to pay out of pocket. And they were like, well, if you pay today, and she really was like this conspiratorial, like, because clearly there's been, as you can imagine, anger and aggression about how expensive it is now that I don't have insurance, So she was trying to go like, I don't want this to be a fight after you go in there. So I'm going to tell you a ballpark of what it's going to be. And if you pay right now, you get a 40% discount, or we can send you the bill, the full amount. And I was like, as it happens, I rolled some coins this morning. So I'm happy to pay now if you will accept $2 rolls of nickels.
Wait, is that a real fact?
No.
Okay, thank God.
I just thought it'd be funny to pay in coins.
I was just like panicking on your behalf.
That I walked in with a giant sack of rolled nickels. That was the thing I used to have to do when I was a bank teller, is roll coins. Like one of the depositors was the local church. So they would come in on Mondays with buckets of change and just dump the change out on a table in a counting room. And whoever was the fucking lame-o who had to go in there would have to, and it was me because I was like low man on the totem pole at that point, would have to go in and like count out, nickels and pennies and dimes and roll them and put the church, like hand write the church's account number on the thing. I'm sure it's all done by machine at this point, but this was in the 1800s. So,
well, when I worked at a bank, that's the common thread of this podcast. People who worked at a bank.
Amber and I are bankers, but not in the way you think.
But customer service had evolved so much that we would refuse people. Like people could only deposit it if it was already rolled.
Right, because who the hell wants to do that? And that stuff is filthy, by the way. That money is disgusting.
It's the most disgusting. Yeah.
I remember thinking about that anytime. What's that?
Dollar bills.
Oh, yeah. Like, filthy. But anyway, it was, just weird to be in the doctor's office. Everybody's in a mask. There's plastic barriers everywhere. Mm-hmm. And for whatever reason, well, what happened was when I was on my way out, I was like, oh, I got to go pay the tab. Like and do I have to tip now? Am I, what's appropriate? 20%, 30%? I don't know. And
so weird.
Yeah. So I went to the front, and it's a giant open floor office with like 3 people in it because they're so spread out. So nobody knows if any of them are working or not. And it's like, is somebody, and then one of them will go, yeah, I can take them. I'm available. So then I'm walking over there, and the woman's like, so you have some questions? And it was a different woman than I had gone into.
And you're like, I heard there was a deal.
Yeah, right. They said 40% off. Or I might have heard 45% off.
I didn't clip the coupon.
Yeah. But so then I'm just standing there awkwardly while she's like totaling it up and looking to see what I had done and, whatever. And there was Fuji's song playing on her, I don't know if it was on her computer or radio or transistor radio.
It might have been a way that plays music.
iPad or, earpods or, whatever it was. Or she might have had a Zune. I don't know. Attached to do Zunes, can you get a speaker for a Zune? Anyway, it's playing. And it occurred to me. So, and this is not, I don't mean to like, I guess I am kind of doing this just to show that I live in a certain strata of society, but my doctor is in Beverly Hills. So I was in Beverly Hills.
Is this how you open networking? Like, when you have a meeting, you're like, my doctor is in Beverly Hills, not to brag.
How about you? Where's your doctor? You?
What's his zip code?
What's his Yelp rating? The first doctor I had in LA, I literally found on Yelp, and he was great. But so this Fuji song is playing, and I remembered that I had gone, this was like 15 years ago. My uncle at the time was the head of security for a big jewelry company. He's an ex New York City detective, and he left, he became a cop when he was like 18. So he was retired by the time he was in his late 30s. And so he became the head of security for this gigantic jewelry company. And they opened a store in Beverly Hills while I was here. And he came out to go to the store opening and take care of security for them. So he's like, do you want to come to this? Do you want to come to this store opening? So I went to the opening of this gigantic jewelry store in Beverly Hills. Like
that's insane. That's
like a big tie, jacket and tie and like gowns and whatever. And the Fugees played live at this store. Like that was the big draw, was that the Fugees were playing live. And it was amazing. Like it was, they were 5 feet away, just like, So I'm standing there like, oh, how much do I owe you?
Story never come up before.
And so she's just silently doing all this stuff. And I was like, in my head, I was like, we're all so disconnected at this point. Like everybody, like just the world of the last year and a half just got to me in that moment. And I was like, let me reach out and like tell this person that this thing happened and it's reminding me of this, because it was right down the street. It was right, like I can almost see the jewelry store. The jewelry store was on Rodeo Drive, and we were not on Rodeo Drive. My doctor's not on Rodeo Drive. Rodeo Drive is a particular part of Beverly Hills.
It would be incredible if your doctor's office was on Rodeo Drive. That would be impressive. I would brag about that.
Right. No, but my jewelry store is on Rodeo
Cartier,
Drive.
Doctor's office, Gucci.
The doctor's just standing in the front window with just like needles and stuff. No, so I just said, this song just, whatever it was, I said it, they opened a jewelry store here 15 years ago, and the Fugees played live, and they did this song. It was amazing. And of course, this woman was just like,
what?
Huh. $9,000, please. And I was like, all right, well, okay, serves me right.
Okay, in your fantasy, like, what was the perfect response?
I'm just trying to connect to people. So if she said
I know what you're trying to do.
If she said oh yeah, I love the Fugees, I would have been like, me too. They're amazing. Like, and each of them did things individually that were great too. Like, I love this. I love it.
Go.
Or if she was like, oh, I didn't even put this on. This is actually the person who had the desk before me. This is what I like. And it was like, Enter Sandman. I would be like, oh, they play that when they used to play that when Mariano Rivera came out of the bullpen for the New York Yankees, which was the first baseball team I ever went to when I was 4 years old. I went to I just was trying to connect in some way to a fellow human being.
That in both of those scenarios, she's still just responding to the song, which I get was your jumping off point for your memory, but I don't know if it was the most interesting part of the story. Like, I feel like she would be like, oh, whoa, that sounds like a cool party.
Right. And then I could have gone like, oh, John Sally was there from from the world champion Detroit Pistons. He's 6'11". He was.
And then how is she supposed to respond to that?
Then she would go, huh.
Right.
I like the song. I don't know what you're talking about.
So you just want her to say, huh, just later in the conversation.
I'm just giving her an opening to respond, like, I love jewelry. I went to a party once and the Beastie Boys were there. Or like, I don't know. Like, I just feel like, why do I have to do all the work? Can she... It's improv rules. Like, I went to the opening of a jewelry store and the Fugees performed. Yes, and I have also been to a jewelry store when I picked out my engagement ring. I'm getting married in 2 weeks.
You could pick out any of those details.
On the other side of Mexico from where Amber's parents live. Like, just give me something. And she just had no fucking interest.
Right. But
which I guess
adding up $9,000.
Yeah. Right. Well, and it was itemized. So it was like 47 different things that she had to add and get it right. And luckily it came out to an even number, which is always amazing. Exactly $9,000. But anyway, but here, the story kind of has an okay, not really. It's not a happy ending, but like, then I get on the elevator. I'm on the second floor, but there's no way down except via the elevator.
Ugh, I hate that.
I do too. Like, because not only is it annoying to have to wait for the elevator instead of just zipping down the stairs.
Right. I could choose when I go. I don't have to wait for the elevator to tell me.
But on top of that, now it's like, oh, the elevator came, but there's already somebody on it and somebody else getting in. So I have to wait for the next one after this. Like, it was
right.
So I'm standing there waiting for the elevator or whatever. The elevator opens. It's going down. There's a woman in there, and she looks like she could be attractive. I don't know because she's wearing a mask.
The top half of her face,
right from here up, and she had like dyed bright pink hair, like that kind of, and it was very
like natural bright pink.
It was like the next level from here.
Right. It would be your like
electric almost
tank top or something.
Yeah. My singlet. And she goes, 1, and I'm like, yeah. And she presses P1, which is below the ground floor. And I'm not parked in the garage. I drove around for 15 minutes trying to find a parking space on the street, not realizing that they had parking in the building that they validated for.
In there.
So I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. No, I'm not going down to P1. I'm going to the ground floor. I should have parked on, like, then we connected because I was like, I should have parked on P1, but I didn't realize they had parking in the building. She's like, oh, yeah. And everybody validates. And I was like, I know that now. I wish I had known that before. And she goes, where did you park? And I said, way down the street on Robertson. And she's like, oh, it's so hot. So we definitely, that moment was very much like, we are human, we are here, we are together.
And then did you segue into the jewelry store party?
Hey, listen, I know this is kind of out of left field, but have you ever heard the Fugees perform? Because I have, at a jewelry store right down the street on Rodeo Drive. She's like, this is not Rodeo Drive. No, I understand that. I'm just saying there's jewelry stores on Rodeo Drive. And I went to a party that John Sally was at. She's like, didn't you say you were getting off on the ground floor? We're now on P2. We're not even on P1 anymore. Anyway, it was a long ride down, and then I had to ride all the way back up by myself after she got off and would not let me off the elevator. She was like holding me on as I was trying to follow her out as the door was closing. But it was just one of those moments where, I don't know, I've been in my house by myself for so fucking long that I guess I was just like, I'm out in the world.
You're
I might as well just speak
it.
something, you know?
Yeah.
And see if anybody is receptive. And she was, so that was nice.
That's awesome.
That other woman, goddamn, you know, she just swatted me away like a goddamn fly. I guess you don't swat a fly away. You actually smush it. So at least she didn't do that.
She didn't smush it.
She did to my feelings, but not physically. You know, when you smush a fly, you really literally crush it.
No, I'm aware.
She only did that to my psyche, not to my physical form. All right. Well, let's find out what's going on with Amber. Amber, we always start the show with parting shots. So
you okay?
Checking in. What's going on, Amber?
Yeah, a lot's going on, but I want to talk about, so Sunday was August 1st. Not to timestamp.
By the time this comes out, it'll be 3 weeks ago.
I know, it'll be in September or something. But trust me when I say the last time it was Sunday, it was August 1st in the reality that I am in while recording this. And the day before, Abby.
Not familiar.
Oh my God. So Abby, my friend, who you know, she has gotten way witchy. Like, she's gotten witchier than me, and I love it. It's something that makes me tremendously happy, and it's entertaining and great. Like, she'll just text me what the phase of the moon is and like what I should watch out for. Like, I don't know, it's fun. And my Christmas present from her, I talked about on this podcast, was an advent calendar, but of like witchy items. It was of the solstice, not of the 12 days of Christmas.
Right.
So
this is where the 12 days of Christmas came from. Originally was the winter solstice, but you know, I get the difference.
The solstice didn't land on the Christmas dates.
Right.
Anyway.
I mean, it just happened. It was coincidence that Jesus was born just a few days after the winter solstice, but it worked out great.
Capricorn King.
Happy birthday, dear Jesus. Full Metal Jacket.
So she is witchy now, and I love it. So on Saturday, she texted me and said, hey, tomorrow is August 1st. It's Lughnasa, which is a Celtic holiday.
We got to go dancing at Lughnasa.
Right. And people celebrate their accomplishments, like, and climb a big hill. So she's like, do you want to hike Griffith tomorrow and get it to the top of it and brag on what we've accomplished so far this year? And I was like, yes, that is exactly what I want to do. And she's like, great. Like, bring an offering, whether that's a poem or sunflowers or bread, but bring an offering and be prepared to list out things that you want to brag about and sacrifices that you've made in the past year. And so I said, oh, great. And so we hiked up to this tree she likes at the top of a hill in Griffith Park. And we did exactly that. Like, she sprinkled these dried flowers in a circle around us. And I brought sunflowers, so I laid them around us. And then it was.
Did either of you at any point say, "I'll get you, my pretty"?
No, no, I don't think so. Okay. And
your dog Toto too?
No, I got it. I've seen them.
No, I'm just saying, like, that's the next.
But yeah, and then we proceeded to do exactly that. Like, we sat there in gratitude and thankfulness to the world and to the harvest, and we wrote out and then read out our accomplishments that we were proud of this year and the things that we sacrificed, and we scattered pieces of bread as an offering. I don't know. It was really.
What kind of bread? Was it like keto or?
I think it was sourdough. And they say that's that it's better for digestion. I don't know.
Witches are always worried about digestion.
But what else was I going to say about that? Oh, and then she gave me a tarot reading. It was just a great, beautiful afternoon. It was gorgeous out. It was warm, but not like too crazy hot. And the sky was blue. And I'm really glad that I did it. It was like a nice.
Did you? Did either of you have a broomstick?
No. I have one here actually, but
pointy hat.
No pointy hats.
No, I think that's fucking cool. I mean, I was just thinking about that. Like, the fact that you get to sit there with your friend and say, these are the things that I've accomplished and these are the things that I'm thankful for, seems like such a positive approach to things, you know? And I'm contrasting that in my head to the religion that I was raised with, where what you have to do is go to an authority figure and say, these are all the things I've done wrong. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. These are the sins I've committed. These are the things God will be angry at me for and punish me for. And please, I beg you, authority figure, please help me absolve myself of these horrific aspects of my humanity, you know? And I feel like, I don't know, one of those seems better than the other to me. Maybe I should be a witch.
Please.
Warlock?
I don't know. Does that, make you a wizard, a warlock?
Mm-hmm. A dramaturge? Or not a dramaturge. What's the other?
A druid.
Druid, not druid. That's not what I'm thinking of. I did this the other day too. I said dramaturge and I meant, necromancer is the word I'm thinking of.
Oh, right. Dramaturge is a funny word. I'll give you that, but it doesn't belong there.
No, absolutely not. I said it in class. Like, we were talking about what we do in the shadows, and there's a necromancer on there. And I was like, yeah, then they go see the dramaturge. And everybody was like, what?
They're like annotating a play really quick.
Right. But no. That just seems like such a positive thing, you know?
Well, and there's something very special. I recommend it. I do. There's something special about doing it out loud, because it's one thing to be like in your head, like, oh, it was cool that I did this, or to even get to the point that you're proud of yourself slightly. But saying it out loud is like another level of being like, no, I am proud of this. And another person is witnessing it. It's like vulnerable, but they are also hearing it and responding and being like, that is something to be proud of. It's like this cool mirror of amplification. Yeah.
And I dig that. Like, I'm trying to think, I don't think I've ever done anything even remotely close to that, of like telling someone else, these are the things that I am proud of. Just seems, I would then have to go to confession and say, I have had hubris and God shall smite me. So please, can I say 11 Our Fathers and 42 Hail Marys and be absolved of this horrific sin of pride, you know?
Well, let's do it.
You should never be proud of anything.
Let's have a late Lughnasa, the next episode or so.
Yeah, I'm down for it. But I was trying to think of like, because I do remember once, and I think I've talked about this on the show before, but it was a Thanksgiving when I was dating somebody and we had kind of had a weird bump in our relationship, which turned out to be not a weird bump. Like the whole relationship turned out to be a weird bump. But the weird bump was actually
it was the start.
Yeah, it was like the normalization back to like, oh, this isn't working. But I was at Thanksgiving at her parents with her whole family there, and they were like, they did that thing that people do at Thanksgiving of like, let's all go around and say what we're thankful for. Like, what are you thankful for? And they're definitely the kind of family that would be like, I'm thankful that I'm so awesome and everything I say is awesome. And, you know, like, that's just how they are as people. And of course, I'm not.
Wild.
Yeah. Oh, it was crazy. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, not that literally, but that would be their attitude, you know. But I guess to me, the difference would be, and this might have just been in my head at the time, but I do feel like it was true. Like, what's beautiful about what you're saying about you and Abby is like, here are these two incredibly close friends saying these things out loud and validating each other's feelings about themselves in a way that only they can do. And I felt like when I was with these people,
it wasn't a safe space.
Well, it was like a performance. It was like everybody was performing for each other instead of really being truthful, you know?
Right.
They were like, I'm awesome. You guys are awesome. Everybody's awesome. We're awesome. The whole group of us is awesome. It's awesome that we're all awesome. You know,
I've got notes on their performance.
I'm not being fair to them because I know it wasn't that, but like, that's how it felt to me, that they were doing a show for each other and for me and because it wasn't just family. There were also like family friends there, and they needed to present the family a certain way. And those friends needed to present themselves a certain way. Like, there was no, I would assume that in the case of you and whoever this other woman was, I would assume that there's an element of vulnerability, like telling the truth. We've
known each other over 20 years now.
Right. It's like
we were roommates for like a chunk of that.
You know that you are both human and you are okay with that. And you're like, these are the things that I feel good about. And the other person's like, you should feel good about that. That's good.
Totally. And I think also it stems from it being sort of the exact opposite framework of a friendship normally, in the sense that you might say, these are the things that I feel bad about. These are the things I'm scared about. These are the things that like I'm shitty at. And so, it's cool to just like put that on its head and be like,
the framework would be, these are the things that I feel shitty about. And the other person would be like, it's okay. I'm still your friend.
Right.
And in this case, it was like, these are the things I feel awesome about. And the other person's like, you should feel awesome about those things.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be your friend anymore.
Because you just bragged about it.
Yes. You need to go to confession. No, I think that's great. I don't know about the bread part, but hey.
I know. Well, also, I had this thought. It went through my head, so I do need to say it.
Mm-hmm.
What I just said we did might be offensive to the holiday of Lughnasa, or it might be offensive to cultures. Like, we weren't doing it. Just did it by the essence of how we were inspired by it. We were not in any way trying to say we did it authentically. I just want to put it out there.
Yeah. I mean, it would suck for us to get canceled because you culturally appropriated the Celts from 2,000 years ago. But also, like, I don't want to offend Celtic people. Like, there probably are true, real traditions. Hey, and fuck the Celtics, okay? Fuck the Celtics. Fuck Boston. Fuck Sam Adams. No. I don't give a shit.
So we just did we were inspired by, and I don't know if that's offensive, but
I it's completely offensive because I'm Celtic by descent, or at least
I think I am.
I've never done 23andMe, but or is it still 23andMe, or have they gone up to 24 yet? But I guess I just feel like it doesn't matter because this is a thing that you two did for yourself. You were inspired by this other thing, but you weren't like, what's so funny is they used to do this thing, so let's do this weird thing.
Right.
Like, I guarantee you the Druids weren't sitting around reading fucking tarot cards, They would have been like, get the fuck out of here. We're goddamn Druids, Bob. We don't do tarot.
Time to lean, you got time to clean.
Right. Go talk to a tree, would you? Maybe Jamie's a Druid.
I could see it.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that's great. I'm jealous. I'm actually, part of me is jealous that you are able to do that and feel that comfortable with another person, that you can just go that in depth into how you are feeling. That's a beautiful thing.
Well, thanks. I didn't mean to make you feel jealous.
No, I'm going to call Abby and see if she wants to go dancing at Lughnasa.
Yeah, I was thinking about that play that whole day, obviously, because that's the only reason I know how to pronounce it, to be quite honest. And
until you said it, I always thought it was Lughnasa.
Maybe it is.
Lughnasa.
I don't think so. I think it's Lughnasa. But I was like, oh, that's what we're doing. How fun. And then I was like, what is that play about again? And I looked up the plot and I was like, okay, maybe we're not dancing at Lughnasa. It's like,
I don't know anything about the play. I just know that it's making fun of the Celts.
It's just sad. And it's just a very sad play. And everyone ends with like no hope in sight. So it's just funny to be like, we're going to do a dancing in Lughnasa. It's just,
it ain't about dancing with the stars. Okay. Right. There ain't a lot of dancing at Lughnasa and dancing with Lughnasa. Well, good for you. That's nice. Thanks. That's nice. And especially at a time like this,
I meant to say this earlier, but everything you were talking about at the beginning with like the trip and all of that, it's a thought that's been going through my head the last couple of days. I think 2021 might be harder than 2020. And 2020 was hard.
I think you might be right. Yeah.
But it's like a different hard.
Mm-hmm. I mean, my feeling, what's that?
And harder. I'll say it. From my opinion, it's harder.
My feeling is 2020 was like, this is fucked up, but this is how it is right now. And it's going to end, but it's going to take a little while. So I just have to be patient. And at a certain point,
and
they're working
all in this together.
And now it's like, I don't know when this is going to end. There are a lot of people who don't give two shits about any of this stuff. It's a dark time in American history right now. Like, it's a really deeply dark, and I think a lot of people don't even realize how dark it is right now. And they say it's always darkest before the dawn, but that's assuming there's a dawn, and like, the shades of darkness, like if it's dark, it's dark, like, what are you going to do? Like, you can't,
if I can't
be afraid of the dark, but at the same time.
Are you just trying to contrast my checking in as harshly as you can?
No, but I mean, I just the last few nights have been listening to people, and it's just a scary. It's gotten, in my mind, it's gotten so much worse over the last. I'm tired.
I know.
Anyway, checking in. What's going on, Amber?
No more. No more checking in.
All right. Well, why don't we just take a quick break, and then we'll come back and we'll do parting shots.
Perfect.
And I'll have more to say about Ron DeSantis. And
bye. I'm pausing it now.
Hey everybody, it's Sean. It's time for Amber and myself to take a quick break. So while we're doing that, there's any one of a number of things that you could do. Follow us on Twitter at Longshot Podcast, or follow Amber at Amber_Kenny, or follow me at Sean Conroy. You can find Joe Wagner and Jamie Flam on Twitter as well. I don't know theirs off the top of my head. Or you could leave us a comment on iTunes. Go look us up and leave us a comment. Or follow us on Instagram. Low Show Po is our Instagram. All right, now back to our show. Thanks. All right. Well, we always like to start the show with something we call parting shots. So, why don't we do that now? So I'll go first. My parting shot. I listened to a podcast yesterday, I think, that I found really interesting. And it was one of those ones where it just kind of hit me at the right time, I think. It's called The Moment with Brian Koppelman. And Brian Koppelman is a writer. He wrote Rounders, which was a movie with Ed Norton and Matt Damon about playing poker. And most recently, he created a show called Billions, which is on Showtime, that I have very much enjoyed. Paul Giamatti as an attorney general, and then what's his name? Damian Lewis, the red-haired British guy, as an American capitalist thief, basically like a finance guy who is worth billions of dollars. Supposedly in some ways based on my old pal Stevie Cohen. But anyway, I enjoyed that show, but I've never listened to his podcast before, and he has people on, and this was an episode he did with Quentin Tarantino. And I'm a Tarantino fan. Like I know different people say different things about him, but I I love his movies. Like I do. Like they're big events to me. And so whatever. It was interesting to listen to him. He's a bit weird and whatever, and that's all fine. But towards the end of the podcast, he talked about two things that I found really interesting. One was, I don't know if I agree with this, but Koppelman considers Inglourious Bastards to be Tarantino's masterpiece. Like he thinks that's his best film. I think you could debate that. But Tarantino talked about the casting process. Like he's always been obsessed with casting since he was a kid. He would read things and make lists of who he would cast for each of the characters and things he was reading. And, that carried over into when he was writing scripts. He always had an actor in mind. And he talked about enjoying the process of sort of shepherding people's faltered careers. I don't know if you probably don't remember, but like
the John Travolta thing, like
Travolta and Sam Jackson, like they were huge after that movie. And before that, Travolta had been a bit of a star when he was younger, but then had kind of disappeared for a while. And Sam Jackson had done a couple things, but he was just a huge star after that movie. So Tarantino talked about how that was kind of a charge for him, was like looking at people and seeing their potential and then seeing a moment in their career where they went the wrong way. And then he was like, they're still so fucking good if they're just in the right part,
Right. No, I could see that being insanely fulfilling.
Yeah. But then he was talking about the character in Inglourious Bastards that Tarantino thinks is the best character he's ever written, which I do think it's hard to debate that, which is Hans Landa, the Nazi.
I knew it was going to be that.
Yeah. It's a
like well-written part. It's very good.
Like you don't go, well, that doesn't make sense. Like, yeah, of course he's going to think that's the best character he's ever written. But he talked about writing that character and how the character slowly evolved. And then they started trying to cast it. And he was like, we're not finding the right person. We're not finding the right actor. Like it needed to be somebody who spoke English and German and French and could communicate in English in a way that was not just someone speaking a foreign language, but it seemed natural. There was so much to it. And he said, we saw all these actors and nobody was right. And he was like, we don't have it. We might have to just like he said, it's a World War II movie. World War II is not going anywhere. So we can put this aside, put it on the shelf. Maybe we come back to it in 3 years, whatever. And they were like, let's just take another day or whatever. And then Christoph Waltz came in and he said he and I think Lawrence Bender, or I forget who the other person in the room was. They sort of looked at each other and they were like, this is the fucking guy. This is the guy, like
That's
it was so
cool. Obvious.
And then, one of the things he was talking about was like how Christoph Waltz was not a new face. Like he was well known in Europe and had been acting. He had a 30-year career. So everybody was like, whoever, this fucking guy, who cares? And it just like, he was so perfect.
Right.
And he's done everything since then, Right. So that was kind of a cool story. And then the other story he told was about, which I did not know about this, that the first thing he did when he was starting to try to be a filmmaker was he tried to make a movie on 16 millimeter. Like he wrote a script and he put it together, and it took him a long time. It was like a 3-year process of getting it together and getting financing and whatever. And it was shit, and it fell apart. And it was bad, and he didn't like it, and he knew it was bad, and nobody was into it, and the actors weren't into it. And it was like, and he was like 23 or something. And he was like, this is my whole life has led up to this moment. And, and I should say he was not telling this part of the story. It was Brian Koppelman telling this part of the story and going like, so you're at that point where this has been everything you've thought about for years and years. And you think this is the thing you're going to do. You're working at this video store and you're going to make movies, and you're, whatever, your whole time growing up, you're, and you failed. So how do you get past that? And he, it was just an inspiring, like, he was like, well, I gave myself 2 weeks to be depressed and upset and whatever, but I've always been a positive person. And this was the part that really stuck with me. He was like, I realized that I had been working on this stuff for 3 years, and the good parts of it, the parts that I liked, had been the stuff I had done in the last year. Like I had gotten better over the time I had been doing this stuff. So it had been like going to film school. Like I learned all this stuff and got better, and I had started to, find my voice. And so then he was like, let me try again with everything I know on a new thing. And then he wrote, all these screenplays that ended up selling, and then eventually got to make his own, because he sold, what did he sell? He sold Natural Born Killers, and he sold True Romance.
Oh.
And then he got to make Reservoir Dogs, and then Pulp Fiction. And then he was kind of off to the races. But anyway, it was just a cool story about like being really like at an impasse of like, what the fuck have I been doing? And then sort of persevering through that and taking the lessons learned and moving forward. And, I think he's done okay. I think he's done okay.
Yeah, no, that's incredibly inspiring. Like, because you have to find the belief truly within yourself.
Yeah. And it's almost like it's almost like your witchcraft thing, where you have to go like, these are the things that I'm proud of, these are the things. And he even said like, I wish I could climb a hill and sit in a circle of flowers and toss bread around. No.
I can't believe this didn't come up earlier.
He said like, of everything I've ever done, I'm sort of proudest of taking that 2 weeks and then deciding to keep going, because that's I could have just said, fuck it. Like I failed and I'm done, So anyway, I thought that was kind of cool. And I think it's worth listening. And then I don't know how, I think my computer must have heard me listening to the podcast or something, because then on YouTube, it was like, do you want to watch this video? And it was a video of Quentin Tarantino telling a story about Martin Scorsese, which was also kind of amazing, which was that Scorsese, when he did the first cut of Taxi Driver, he was like, this is a fucking masterpiece. this is amazing. This is the best thing I've ever done. He was like 25 or something,
Right.
but he was like, this is amazing. And they sent it off to the Motion Picture Association that gives ratings, and it got an X rating. Like the first rating came back and it was an X. And he was like, well, I'm not changing it. I'm not cutting it. I guess we're releasing it with an X rating. Like, it's brilliant. We're putting it out with the X. And I think he was working with Columbia, or whoever was producing his movie was like, no, we're not. We're changing it so that it gets an R. Get an R. And he was like, what do you want me to do? It's perfect the way it is. And this executive at whatever company was like, I don't care what you do. Do whatever you do. Just cut it up, make it, fix it, change it, make it an R. It's got to get an R. We're not releasing an X picture. It's got to be an R picture. And so Martin Scorsese, this was the story, was that Martin Scorsese then went to his apartment with a bottle of whiskey and a loaded gun and just sat up all night drinking, because he in the morning was going to take this gun and go shoot this executive in the face, kill him, like, because he told him that he had to change the movie. And so people came to the apartment, like his friends, his other filmmakers and whatever, and they all were like, oh, we don't know if this is a good idea, whatever. And Scorsese, apparently over the course of the evening, as he kept drinking and drinking and drinking, he finally had this thought of like, what if I desaturate the colors during the goriest sequences in the movie? And that's what he did. He didn't change anything except 2 degrees. Like, he went from the singlet
the inside to the outside.
Yeah. And that changed the rating from an X to an R. And then at the end of the whole story, Tarantino just goes, and I don't know if that really happened, but if it didn't, it should have. That was the end of it. So anyway, I had a little Quentin Tarantino rabbit hole. So that's my parting shot. Amber, parting shots.
Yeah, I can't not even explain to you how I came upon it, because it makes no sense. But I've recently stumbled upon a new reality show. The Mole, which aired in the year 2001.
I remember that.
And it's hosted by Anderson Cooper. And it's on Netflix randomly. And again, I just fell down a hole.
A mole hole.
A mole hole. And ooh, it is hitting the spot. It has.
And what is it? Is it somebody in the office is like working for the other side or something like that?
So, okay, I'll explain what the show is. And as I'm doing that, I will tell you why it's satiating so many different parts of me. So first of all, it's an adventure game. You're like a group of people, and you're traveling through Switzerland, and then you're getting on a train and you're in Italy, and you have like challenges all along the way, like different challenges, like stupid stuff, like physical challenges.
Like how many cheese doodles can you fit in your mouth? That kind of thing?
Yeah, kind of, or like crossing the bridge, but it's greased up, or something dumb. But then
you got an alligator and a lamb and a rowboat, and you got to get both of them across the other side.
Stuff like, there are big epic things, because they're in Europe, so there's castles, and there was like one of the team members was kidnapped, and they had to figure out which castle he was in and get him out. Like it's like fun. They're fun games, and so that's already like traveling the world while playing like games. Yes, like sign me up. Tomorrow. I want to do this so bad. But then here's where it gets really fun. It's called The Mole because in that group, all of those challenges earn you money into the pot. And then the last person standing wins that pot.
So they're all trying to knock each other down.
No, they're all trying to earn the most amount of money possible.
Right, but they don't want everybody else standing. They want to knock each other down.
But the challenges don't like get anyone voted off.
Oh, okay.
We haven't gotten to that part yet. You just want to win as much money as possible. It's a team pot. But one of the people in the cast is the mole, and they're actively trying to lose challenges so that the group doesn't win money. And then every week, and everyone knows there's a mole, and every week,
I think Amber is the mole.
Well,
Amber, are you the mole? No, I'm not.
You take a quiz. I'm making this sound so boring, but it's wonderful.
Is it like a bubble quiz or is it
Yes,
like
I think it is actually.
Oh,
About the mole. And the person who gets the least right goes home. So you want to know who the mole is, but you also don't want to let anyone else know who the mole is. So there's people who are actively like ruining things to
make other people think that they're the mole.
Yes, to get suspicion on them. But then meanwhile, the mole is there ruining all of the missions in a way that no one is even noticing.
Mm-hmm.
And also,
trying to make people think that somebody else is the mole.
Exactly. See how fun this is?
Is it mole or is it mole? I thought it was pronounced mole.
In this case, it's mole.
Okay.
And the other fun thing is, I guess that's all of the fun things. So it's
castles.
Like it's spy-y, like it feels very like James Bond, and because it's social game and picking up, just it's really, really interesting and fun. And it's from the year 2001, so it's like before they were super savvy at overproducing people. I bet these people were still produced, but they feel like real human beings.
And do you know who the mole is the whole time?
No, that's the fun part. The audience also doesn't know who the mole is.
Got it.
And so and I refused to look it up on the internet. Like I was like, I'm playing along. I am not gonna cheat. And they got me. The first season, I did not know who the mole was.
No way. Danny's the mole?
Right. And there's like really fucked up games that it's all about trust, and like only one person can go grab the money. And so everyone's like, well, we don't want to give the mole that job, but we don't know which one of us is the mole. Like, it's fun. It's fun.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last episode, they explain who the mole was and exactly what they did to sabotage the games that they sabotaged. Because you also want to not sabotage every game. Like, you have to let it breathe.
Right. You don't want to be too obvious about it. Because then people are like, oh, that has to be the mole. Unless you're super obvious about it so that other people will think you're the mole.
Right. No,
because you're being too obvious about it to throw suspicion off yourself.
There's a lot of layers.
It reminds me of when I did.
And some people were just bad at the games. And then people are like, oh, that's the mole. And it's like, no, I'm just bad.
Right. It reminds me of when I did like murder mystery dinner theater. And I was not the murderer, but I did everything I could to make people think I was the murderer. And I remember being so proud when they were like, yeah, it's definitely that guy. And I was like, nope. Nope.
But anyway, it scratches an itch. I think it scratches like an adventure itch. That's definitely something missing in my life right now. Definitely travel. And then just like that, like, the lie intrigue spy part of
it's fucking it's Columbo, man. It's like who's telling the truth, who's not, and who's the liar.
Right. Yeah. So
I guess that would be who's not telling the truth. It's the same thing.
But yeah, I am trying to be a contestant on a game show from the year 2001.
Hi. My name is Amber Kenny, and I would like to be a time traveler because I want to be on the mole. So that's on Netflix right now?
Yeah, just the first 2 seasons. I've looked it up. Apparently there are more seasons, but only the first 2 are on Netflix, which is... Jeff had a theory, because that's strange. It's strange to launch the first 2 seasons of a reality show from 20 years ago. So he's like, I bet they're rebooting it.
Right.
And I hope they are. That sounds awesome.
Either they are, or Jeff is the mole.
I knew it. He's the perfect mole.
Oh, maybe they're rebooting it. The fucking mole. It's so obvious. All right. Well, this has been The Long Shot. Big episode next week. This episode, we talked a lot about fascism. That's it.
I thought you had more. All
That's
right,
it.
bye everybody.
We'll see you next time.